Hey guys, Marty up north coming at you live from my back in Alberta. As many of you know, I live just a little bit northwest of Calgary. Um, the Rockies are just over the horizon in my backyard. It's July 20th. I'm home this weekend. I had planned to go do maybe a little overnight hike, but kind of a family event going to happen this weekend. My sister-in-law is coming down, my daughter's coming down, so a bunch of people are coming down for a visit for the weekend. So I'm staying home this weekend. The only plan I have right now, some of you saw, no, actually you probably wouldn't have seen. Last week was my birthday, and I treated myself for my birthday. I bought well, Karen and I, my wife Karen and I have the same birthday, so we're both born on July 14th, 1967. So last week we both turned 51. That's actually how we met many years ago. I was living up north in Edson, and she was living in Edson. I was out at the bar one night for my birthday, and near the end of the evening, the group of guys I was with, we noticed there was a group of girls celebrating, and there was mutual friends between the groups. So when we walked over, found out that the girls were celebrating because of Karen's birthday. So that's how we met. I bought her a shooter, and the rest is history. So me and Karen have the same birthday. Anyways, last week was our birthday, and I'm running out of ideas, so I bought us both a inexpensive canoe, or not canoe, kayak. We do some canoeing. You've seen my trips up at Boron Lakes and elsewhere, but we got these inexpensive canoes that we bought from Costco. We tried them briefly last week, but we're going to try them again this weekend, so I'll make a little video of the canoe trip. Otherwise, how are things? I'm busy at work. I wish I could hike more. I'm actually pretty happy so far this year. I've hiked 3 times, and so I did, twice in Kananaskis and once up north. You haven't seen the video of my trip to Castlegar Meadows. I'm going to post that shortly. It was my 3rd attempt in about 5 years to get the Castlegar Meadows, and unfortunately it was another failure. I'm beginning to think that Castlegar Meadows is just this mythical place that doesn't exist because I haven't been able to get there. You'll see in this video, I even planned by getting better maps, the 1 to 50,000 maps. I GPS'd a bunch of waypoints in advance, and couldn't get there. Anyways, all right, good question. So a little bit of Q&A. So somebody's asking me about the North Boundary next week. Advice for the North Boundary: first of all, lucky you. I did it twice in my life. I wish I could go back. If you're doing it counterclockwise, so if you're starting at Celestine, actually, first bit of advice is the bit from Celestine to Willow Creek is boring. It is a fire access road. So if you can somehow or other get to Rock Lake and shortcut to Willow Creek, it's worth it. Once you're at Willow Creek, make a side trip to go see the Snake Indian Falls. The Snake Indian Falls. Okay, well, you're starting at Celestine, so if you are starting at Celestine, then my advice is just enjoy it. The weather should be fantastic. Don't miss, you cannot miss Snake Indian Falls, so go see them. But then after Snake Indian Falls, when you go past Blue Creek, it's not well advertised, but to the east or to the west on the trail, there's a place called Wellborn Falls. Make sure you do not miss Wellborn. I missed that last question. It went by too fast, but maybe it'll come back up. But anyways, if you're doing Celestine, you're doing the North Boundary, you're gonna love it. Charlie had to say, September I started buying gear to start backpacking. Wow, this is one of my first live YouTube events, and I'm surprised at how fast the questions go by. I don't have time to answer all the questions, so I'll just pause for a second, see whatever questions come up. I think the last question had to do with gear. I just posted a video on gear. My advice on gear is, if you're new to the sport, don't spend a fortune. You can't, you're not going to go wrong with cheap gear if you're just new to the sport, especially if you're just doing overnight trips. Most gear is very reliable, but so if you're new to the sport, buy cheap gear until you know what you want. And by cheap gear, I mean, don't buy the top of the line North Face pack or anything like that. Just buy what I've recommended on some of my videos, what you need. Go hike, and then as you evolve and you learn what you like, then buy more expensive gear. But on the flip side, if you can't afford expensive gear, buy expensive gear, because you can't go wrong with expensive gear. It's like expensive tools, you know. When I was younger, I used to buy cheap. Have you tried your hammock in the backcountry yet? No, I have not tried my hammock. I'm actually reluctant to try my hammock. I'm the hammock is unfamiliar to me. I'll put it that simply. I know a lot of people have said that I should try my hammock. My wife bugs me about that. So she'll often buy me gifts, and the gifts go unopened or unused for years before I find, you know, an example is she'll buy me a new pair of hiking pants, and they'll sit there for years, and finally she'll start using them, because once I'm familiar with gear, I don't like changing. So it's just my opinion. It's just me. I will use my hammock. It is on my list of things to do. I will use my hammock, but right now I haven't used it. Oh, there's big old Dexter in the background. Good question. Any other questions, folks? Just let me show you where I'm at right now. I'm in the backyard. You guys have seen this a few times maybe, or you see it more often on Instagram or on Twitter. I like to sit in my backyard and make fires. And I'll look over my shoulder. Actually, there's an all-terrain vehicle. I live on an acreage, so I need tools. There's a question. How old is Tika? Tika, I got Tika in 2013. So Tika just turned 5 years old. She's absolutely one of the most amazing dogs I've owned. She's the fourth dog I've owned. For years I had Ozzy and Charlotte. Ozzy was with me for 14 years, Charlotte for 15. They're both Border Collie mixes. And then later on came Dexter, and then finally Tika. And my philosophy on dogs is to always have 2 or 3 at the same time. And so Dexter is old right now, and someday when Dexter passes away, I'll get a replacement dog for Dexter who can then learn from Tika. So I always have always have 4 or 5 years of gap between my dogs so they can learn from each other. But Tika is if you see this in a chat, I'm going to ask him behind. I didn't see what that chat, but back to Tika. So Tika's 5 years old, fantastic dog, athletic. She's about the size, well, she is the size of dogs that I like. Ray's hilarious. My fiance wants to know, how do you make tent camping enjoyable for a woman? Bring wine. I think that's the most important thing. So don't pick anything too challenging. Ask the woman, ask your partner what they like, and if they want to see beautiful scenery, then pick beautiful scenery. When I go with Karen, we tend to pick shorter hikes. Don't hike more than, say, 10 kilometers in a day. Go at her pace. I let her bring, I don't argue with her, I let her bring a lot of luxuries. We share a bit of weight, so let them bring the luxuries that they want to bring. If they want to bring a bit of makeup, a more comfortable mattress, whatever it takes. I mean, it's important to I think I like hiking alone, but hiking with a partner is really fun also, because you can share the memories. But if you're hiking with a woman, my wife in particular, I bring a little bit of wine in a little plastic bottles, and then at the end of the day, a glass of wine goes a long way. I see you drink straight from rivers and streams. How do you know if it's safe to drink at that elevation? Drinking from rivers and streams, good question. It's a risk assessment. So I'm hiking in mountains, generally above the tree line, but I'm hiking in very remote areas that don't encounter a lot of pollution. And I'll tell you, if you look at a modern building, like the new LEEDs buildings, LEEDs, they have water recycling systems that are built on sort of the concept of marshlands. So, and if you look at a modern water filtration plant, it's nothing very complicated. They filter water through sand and through activated charcoals and things like that. So in the mountains, when you find a nice little stream far from anywhere, that water has been filtered by natural means, and those natural means of filtration are what we duplicate as human beings. So when you find a small, and there's a lot. Oh, question. I had to move closer to the house. I'm a little too far from the house, so the internet was failing on me. Um, all right, it's 7:47. My fire is going behind me. I'm actually enjoying a beer. I don't know if you guys can tell. Marty up north likes his beer. Marty likes his Ryan Cokes, especially on a Friday night like this. I love interacting with my fans. Do you have any stories of close calls while in the woods by yourself or when with others? I got lots of stories of close calls. I could do a whole episode on close calls. You know, I'm trying to think of well, actually, you know what? My closest call has not been while hiking. My closest call was canoeing last year on the St. Lawrence in Quebec City when we had a mishap and we collapsed. We got hit by a wave and I had to swim the shore in 0-degree water. I had to swim in the St. Lawrence River on December 13th for 9 minutes and I got to shore. And when I got to shore, I was totally hypothermic. And one of the guys on the canoe with me passed away. So that's a really sad story. That's a close, that's beyond a close call. Otherwise, close calls while hiking, no, I've you know, no close call that I easily recall. Listen, it's windy as hell out here. This is my first attempt at going live. Let me know how you think this went, if it's something I should do again. I tried doing it closer to the trail, but I would need satellite technology to do it there, and it doesn't work. So I'm doing one from home. Maybe I'll do one from the comfort of my office in the next little while with a Q&A, or maybe I'll just ask people on I'll do a short video. Actually, as part of this video, tell you what, as part of this video, send me some questions. So once this video goes up and it's no longer live, fire off a bunch of questions and then I'll do a follow-up video answering questions. Because I honestly, I love the questions you guys ask. It's one of the highlights of YouTube for me for the last 5 years. I didn't know what this would mean or what this would lead to. I honestly posted videos just because it was fun. And in fact, I posted videos because it was a technology that I was exploring for work. I had procedures at work and I thought, why write the procedures? Why not videotape them? And once I videotaped the procedures, I thought, well, how do I store or refine the procedures? And that's how I discovered YouTube. So YouTube for me, I discovered this about 5 years ago. This has gone beyond my wildest dream because Brendan Circus, man, you are a very strong fan. Go ahead, Brendan Circus, ask me that question because I answer. You go and ask me a lot of questions by text. Fire one off here real quick and I'll answer your question. But while I'm waiting for that, so like I said, YouTube has turned into an absolutely phenomenal positive experience for me. The comments I get from people are 99% overwhelmingly positive, and I love answering back as many as I can. All right, Brent Sickers, have you heard anything weird, strange when you sleep alone in the wilderness? I hear a lot of noise when I sleep alone in the wilderness, and this is just a quick story. Whenever I hike with somebody who's brand new, who's never been in the wilderness before, and our first night when we're sleeping in a tent, I always tell people the same thing. I say, at night, you're going to hear a lot of weird noise. So while we're sleeping at night, you're going to wake up and you're going to hear a lot of weird noise outside. And I always tell people this: don't wake me up, because I don't care. Because you're going to pecker pecking away, the wind, the rain, the river that's 50 noises like a whoop whoop or something that you just go, what the hell was that? Yeah, I've had a few of those over the years. You know, you once in a while you hear something and you look over your shoulder and you just go, what the heck was that? Do I believe in Bigfoot? Darn rights I do. Anyways, guys, this was fun. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'm going to sign off for now, but this is probably not the last time I do one of these live streams. All right, folks, thanks, and like I always say, get off the beaten path and explore this beautiful country of ours.